Just days ago at the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore, the US Defense Secretary Pete Hegeseth made a bold claim that China is ready to launch an attack on Taiwan. That statement cuts sharply against years of US messaging, which insisted that such war wasn't imminent. Now, was he right? Or was that just his drama play? In a way, Mr. Hegseth is partially correct. China has never taken the option of force off the table. In fact, it has passed the anti-secession law back in 2005, which spells out three conditions that would justify military action. And one of them is a complete loss of peaceful reunification prospects. And by any honest measure, that condition may already be met. Polls after polls show that majority of people in Taiwan are rejecting the unification, politically, culturally, and even emotionally. From Beijing's perspective, the space for peaceful dialogue has been collapsed. Still, the notion that China is going for war right now doesn't hold up, and let's examine the reasons why. First of all, China is not ready yet for a direct military confrontation with a nuclear arms power, United States. Beijing has built tremendous conventional capabilities. It has a powerful navy. It has long-range and hypersonic missile stockpiles. It has tremendous drone systems and overwhelming shipbuilding capacity. In a regional fight around the Taiwan Strait, Beijing could arguably outmatch the US forces. But the war isn't waged in theory because people die. America still holds a decisive advantage in nuclear arsenals, and Chinese leaders are wise enough to realize that. That's why China is biding its time. Its warhead stockpile is expanding, its second strike capacity is improving, and its posture is evolving. But the full strategic parity with the US will only be reached in 2030. Until then, China's patience is no weakness. It's part of a longer game. And second, the more China waits, the worse Taiwan looks, and the better China appears on the global stage. Let's be honest, Taiwan's leadership right now, especially under William Lai, is doing Beijing a big favor. Lai comes to power without even having a legislative majority. He has launched legal crackdowns on opposition parties. The street protests in Taiwan are erupting. Taiwan isn't just divided, it's descending into domestic chaos. Meanwhile, China hasn't even fired a single shot. It has flying airplanes, it has sailing ships, and it has been flexing its muscles. But it never escalated, and that restraint is intentional. While America throws diplomatic lifelines and arms deals at Taipei, China is letting global audiences see exactly who is a threat to peace and who is trying to preserve it. Over 70 nations, mostly from the global south, have now publicly endorsed China's claim to unify Taiwan. It's a reversal of global narratives, and the more provoking Taiwan becomes, the less sympathy it will attract, and Beijing knows it. And this is not just about Taiwan, it's also about how Washington navigates its own red lines. If you listen closely, Mr. Hegseth's speech wasn't directly at China, it was actually aimed at Taiwan. It was a warning to Taiwan. Under Trump, the US seems to be drifting back toward a more pragmatic one-China policy, the kind of policy where Taiwan's independence is firmly off the table. Because frankly, Washington knows what's at stake. A direct clash with China over Taiwan would not just compromise American dominance in Asia, it will also wipe out the global trading routes, destroy US manufacturing supply chains, and trigger a cascade of crises which Washington cannot contain. America isn't ready for that. It never was. Which is why, despite the rhetoric, Mr. Hegseth avoided promising military support to Taiwan. He refused to echo Biden's past statements about defending Taiwan. And that silence speaks volumes. Let's zoom out for a moment. Back in 2001, when the former Taiwan president Chen Shui-bian flirted with independence, the US cracked down hardly and called him a troublemaker. But in recent years, under Biden, that discipline has been stripped away. The arms sales has increased. The US delegation visit has become routine. And the public remarks signaled implicit guarantees for Taiwan's independence. This has emboldened Taipei to go further and to go too far. Now the Biden-era policy has been rolled back. Trump is determined to restore some sense of balance. And Mr. Hegseth's remarks may have been part of that recalibration. And there is also a historical angle worth noticing. Taiwan is not Ukraine, it's not Korea, and it's not Syria. From Beijing's point of view, it is a domestic issue, purely. It's not a war of conquest, but a conflict of integrity. And the closest comparison draws with Abraham Lincoln's decision to prevent the secession of the Confederacy. It was bloody, it was costly, but it was universally understood as a means to preserve the Union. If China goes to war over Taiwan, this will be treated as the same kind of historical imperative, and it will likely gain legitimacy from much of the world. And unless Washington is prepared to plunge the world into a catastrophic war, even its allies may not follow it into the fire. So is China about to attack Taiwan? No, not now, not yet. But it is preparing for the day when China thinks the political cost of waiting outweighs the risk of action. That moment hasn't arrived, but it's not far away. Until then, every move by Taiwan's leadership and every word from Washington will shape when and how that day comes.